Today, we're covering a fresh manga by Miu Miura children. Before we start, I'll say right away, this one will definitely appeal to fans of trashy, over-the-top stories. It's a really brutal manga, so get ready, your palms might start sweating. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. It gives me the motivation to keep making content. Right now, there are only 2 people on the channel, but I hope there will be more of us soon. Enjoy watching. As in most cases, the author begins his work by throwing us a fragment from somewhere in the middle. In the first frame, we see a man on a spit over a fire. In the following frames, grilled meat. A man with blue hair and bloody hands who thinks that he no longer remembers the moment when he realized that he would not be able to return to his former life. On the next page, there is a spread where a girl with big sky blue eyes in an apron and with bloodied hands says admiringly that they will have a barbecue. To the left of her is the same blue-haired guy, covered in blood, butchering a body, surrounded on all sides by different parts of the human body. Then we see the same guy with a scared expression on his face and the same girl whose facial expressions reflect madness. For the first time in my life, I met a real demon. And now we're moving forward a few weeks earlier. Our main character's name is both Garage and Thor. He came to some remote forest to work, for which he was promised 3 million yen. All that is required of him, according to the vacancy, is to look after the children. No one meets the newcomer, so he, paying attention to the strange white outbuilding, goes in search of adults himself. There he meets a girl of a small mound, resembling someone's burial, who shed a tear in a prayer gesture with folded hands. Having said that his mother sent him to work, he says that he will be with them here from today. The guy holds out his hand. The girl recoiled at first, but then took his hand too gently. My name is Shimizu Sakurako. I am the director of this place, and she introduces herself as a girl, lets him into a building resembling a kindergarten, and tells him about his duties. That is, Toru will help with the housework, take care of the children, and pay special attention to cleaning. First, the guy asks how old Sakuraka is, and then he is surprised that someone allowed such a little girl to become a director. At this time, 2 children, using a rope, make Thor stumble. As soon as he falls, 2 girls appear, who laugh and call him stupid. Focusing on the fact that the hero is an adult, the blonde Rinka calls the Thor the enemy. The director asks if the new guy is okay. Everything is fine with him, he is not going to be angry at the pranks of the children. Then we see other children who looked out to see the newcomer. Toru notices them, and therefore deliberately loudly says that since he heard that there are children here, he took too many sweets with him. Perseov, the other children also came out to the newcomer. Sakurako quietly tells him that he shouldn't do that because then the children won't want to have dinner, and adds that since he now lives with them, he must follow the generally accepted rules. Toru blushed at the touch, as did the director, who, having moved away a little, calls him a good boy. The joint meal began. Toru wonders if Sakuraka cooked it all herself. Children pick up, starting to praise. They say the director can do everything, just like a real mom. Then a girl named Ringa also supports this statement, adding that this is why she will not be sad if her real parents do not come back for her. Instantly, there was a deathly silence. The other children became gloomy in order to diffuse the situation, which folds its hands in front of itself and says a prayer. When others ask what he is doing, our hero replies that when he was in kindergarten, they always prayed before eating. Smiling, he looks at the children and says, "The gods are always watching over the children, so there is no need to be sad." These words make an impression on Sakuraka. All the other children immediately repeated the prayer after him. While everyone is eating, one boy looks at the Toru with displeasure. After dinner, the guy goes to the bathroom, noting that he likes it here. Fresh air, nature, and the work itself is not difficult. Then Sakuraka comes to him with the children, which clearly puts the guy in an awkward position. In response, he is told that he is already a member of the family, and the family does not need to be shy of each other. Having accepted this tour, Sakuraka says that she can go to rest, and he himself will help the children. "What are you talking about, silly?" the director asks. "Your work has just begun." A little later, when everyone went to bed, Toru can't close his eyes, and he can't let go of thoughts about what Sakuraka said last. Then he starts to hear a strange knocking. Looking out of the window, he sees a creepy girl who points her finger in the direction of the white room. Approaching the building, he does not see the girl herself, but notices a rather large bag. Opening it, he sees bound and bloody adults inside. The rest of the children suddenly approach there. Toru tries to somehow protect them from this sight, but the children do not need it. One child approaches and lifts the prisoner by the armpits. Others also grab to disassemble the parcel, saying that there were a lot of them this month. Toru himself froze, not understanding what was happening. Then Rinka appears from behind with a big knife, demanding the guy to get out of the way. Losing his composure, the break runs into a white room and closes the door behind him. Looking up and seeing the room itself, he sees dozens of bodies hanging upside down without arms and heads. From such a sight, he falls to his knees. The door at the back began to open. When he turns around, he sees all these children. At the head of Sakuraka, who pulls a bound woman by her hair and separates the head from the body in front of Toru's eyes. Covered in blood, with a sweet smile on her face, she declares that now it's time to get to work. To the question, "Brother, what happened?" Toru asks why they killed these adults, and why they are still pretending that nothing happened. One of the bound adults comes to his senses. Toru promises him that he will call an ambulance now. Then the night guy pushes him, pulling out a pair of scissors, and sticks it into the victim's leg. While he is screaming in pain, one of the children says, "Hey, it's not fair. Rinka wanted to do this." After receiving approval from the director, Rinka goes to the victim with a big axe. An adult asks not to kill him, but already on the next page, we see a body hanging upside down without a head, from which blood drips into a child's bucket. Sakuraka approaches Thor, but the guy immediately loses consciousness from shock. He wakes up in the morning. He is visited by two brothers, Kakeru and Wataru, who are surprised that his brother is still alive. The guy is shocked again, seeing the children in front of him, who, as if nothing had happened, appeared before him in blood-covered aprons and cutting devices with the same liquid. The children ask him not to pay attention. Outside, a gloomy dark-haired guy continues cutting. Tool still can't comprehend what is happening. He asks his brothers to tell him what kind of place it is. But the children's answer is simple: "This is our home." While the children continue to work, Thor will check in the toilet. He realizes that he needs to escape from here as soon as possible. Sakuraka approaches him from behind and says that the guy should rest now, since he himself is a very gentle child. It pisses the guy off. He asks, is it really so normal for them to cut other people into small pieces? Instead of answering, the director says that today she has to help the children empty the insides of the brought ones. In response, the guy asks if she really thinks that he will participate in this and that no one will know about their actions. Sakuraka replies that he understands this, but wants their actions to remain secret as long as possible. Because they have been doing this for 10 years, and they are going to kill adults until the very end. In a sudden flashback, we see a scene with sexual violence. Torma asks about the children, whether they do it themselves, or the director forces them. Sakuraka says that children have been living here and killing for as long as they can remember, so this is a normal phenomenon for them. The guy offers them to go to another orphanage and start over, promising that he will not tell the others anything. Sakuraka's face changes. Smiling, she takes Thorn by the hand and asks him to just kill people along with the others. When a new employee refuses, asking to let him go at least, the director simply cuts his leg with a knife. Again showing a creepy face, Sakuraka says that children who try to escape or who refuse to kill will be punished. Toru realizes that Sakuraka is crazy. Seeing a knife in front of him and understanding his situation, the main character agrees with the rules, mentally promising himself that he will suffer until there is a chance to escape. When Sakuraka hears the promise to stay, her face turns innocent again. She begins to cry, saying that she is happy. After all, she has been taking care of other children herself all this time, and now it will become much easier for her when help appears. Another child notices this. Without understanding the context, a little girl named Kayuki thinks that Thorn has offended their director, so she goes forward with a bloody knife. But she only has time to swing because Natsuki is the same gloomy guy and her older brother catches the blade on the fly. Kayuki. He turns to his younger sister. "You don't have to do this." Pointing his finger at the Tora, he says that they don't need a new one. Obviously, the guy got to them by mistake. Sakuraka declares that if he explains to Toru how it is done, he will do his job. The guy argues, arguing that Toru even fainted last night from what he saw. Then Kayuki suggests that Nasuka bring one of the living adults to play repeat. He agrees and, having dragged the woman, tells the newcomer that he will teach him now. All you have to do is memorize and repeat. Taking a spoon, Natsui pulled out an adult eye, stating that it was Toru's turn now. While the captive screams in pain, Sakuraka says that in order to get used to it, their newcomer should practice at least on corpses. Natsui is against it, wondering why the director treats him so gently, as if he is something special. If earlier they got rid of other children who refused to kill, then what is the difference between the case aside? Sakuraka accepts this argument. She says that this, in quotes, thing is going to be gutted one way or another. So let him pass this test. The director encourages him, saying that she is sure that Torma will cope. The victim herself asks for mercy because she did nothing wrong. She calls her mother, and then Torm directly says that he will not kill anyone. Natsui is not satisfied with the answer, and he says that if the main character doesn't follow the rules, get rid of him too. Then he asks, do they really not put human life in anything? The question enrages Natsuki, and he, killing the victim, asks, now he will be able to cut her up. Natsui is angry. Sakuraka tries to calm him down. Toru himself cannot understand what is wrong with these children and why they are so calmly killing people. Then the director turns to him, saying that you should not worry and learn everything slowly. Disappointed, the gloomy guy offers his sister to leave, but she replies that she wants to stay and watch the game of repetition. This angers Natsuki, and he throws a knife at the newcomer's head. From a blow, or rather from shock, maybe even from blood loss, the guy loses consciousness. We switch to other kids who have previously made a trap for Torla, continuing to dismember the bodies. They discuss what a brand new smudge they have. Then Rink's friend, a girl with dark glasses, her name is Shiro. She remembers how her friend herself got to them. In a short flashback, we see Rink running away with tears in her eyes, followed by other children, scaring her with a severed head. Then they remember that, in principle, most children behave like this at first. But they had no choice, either kill or be killed. The girls pay attention to Sakuraka passing by with a strange expression on her face. Irinka decides to check what happened. So she gets into a room where Thor is lying on a futon, and there are very small children around. Dinka begins to scold Thor, saying that he is surprisingly weak for the most adult of them, and reminds that those who are unable to work here are getting rid of. Then the tour itself asks to answer one question: why don't they want to escape from here? Santa, he came here to earn money for his studies, and he didn't know what was going on here. When he says he wants to go home, some kids get upset. Rinka takes a mug and pours the hot liquid on his face and starts screaming. It's probably cool when you have a place to go back to. And the children living here don't have such a place. The other children immediately get involved, reminding that it's against the rules to fight. Then the director herself attracts Link's attention with a shout and again reminds that those present here should not fight with each other. Shaking, Rinka runs away. Sakuraka starts wiping Toru's face while he asks why children live in a place like this. The director replies that he should not worry about it. Rinka, having escaped to the bathroom, rips off her wig and clothes, showing reddish short hair and exposing a monstrous scar on her back. The next chapter begins with a flashback of a child in a wig. First, she asks her mom if she is really a girl and gets an affirmative answer. Rinka wakes up. The other children surrounded Thor to look at the wound on his leg left by the director. Children also have these after cutting, so they already know what to do. A little girl with a ferret named Mira and brings a first aid kit and treats the wound of their new one. Here we learn that Mirai can't kill anyone at all, and that's all she can help with at the moment. Toru thanks for the help and wants to pat her on the head, but the girl immediately recoiled in fear. The other children offer to go outside and play. Watching them, Thor understands that now they are no different from ordinary ones. Children behave extremely friendly, ask to play with them. On the way down, they meet Rink, who defiantly turns her head away. Toru thinks that he will need to apologize to her. Then the guy meets along the way. Here are the rules. Sperm according to the 5th rule seem logical: wash your hands, wash thoroughly, eat everything from your plate there, and so on. But he is confused by the others from the 6th to the 8th. Don't believe adults, look back, never leave me. The children say that the Torah should learn them by heart because non-compliance with the rules threatens punishment. 2 of Mirai's brothers have already died. One of the boys uses a different wording. For disobeying the rules, you will be turned into an asterisk. Sakuraka says that after death, children become stars. Continuing to walk on the street, they meet the director, who again prays at a small hillock. Seeing him, Sakuraka runs towards him with a happy expression on his face and wishes Toru a good morning. Toru asks whose grave it is. The director replies that it's a secret, and it's better for him not to know. The hero has an assumption that perhaps this is the grave of those whom she killed. If so, the girl is probably feeling guilty. The reflection is interrupted by a car that brought one adult. The children get upset because they wanted to play, and now they have to work. An adult with an aggressive disposition asks what kind of place it is and immediately starts shouting. Sakuraka immediately appears shot down. Then the prisoner asks if the children are in quotation marks and they're 6s. Sakuraka says that an adult is about to become an asterisk. Children get sick so that the director attacks him. Then the prisoner turns to Thor, asking if he is in charge here and if they are all Kyojumats. The children hear this name for the first time, and Shish, a dark-skinned boy with blonde hair, reports that he brought everything he needed. The children grab their weapons and start beating the man. Mirai, who has never killed anyone before, stands rooted to the spot, clutching the ferret to her. Approaching her, Sakuraka gets down on one knee and says that Mirai should also join the others. After all, the girl promised that she would try to prevent others from killing her ferret. At this time, the already beaten man finds the strength to break the bonds and get up. With the words "in the fucking brat," he begins to beat the children. As soon as his figure looms over Mira, and he rushes with shouts, "Are you really going to?" meaning to hit her, and knocks the man to the ground. The man with the scar answers, "Yes, damn it." He doesn't care if they are children or not, it's all self-defense. With shouts, "You devil spawn, you murderers have no future," the man grabs the throat of the Torah. A bullet whistled nearby. Natsuki complains from the window of the building that he missed. While the man was distracted by the shooter, Sakuraka, with his eyes wide open, and with the words adult and really disgusting, separates the head from the body with an axe. The children show how much they were scared of this incident, and Shish says that he was afraid that many children would die again. Toru, looking at the body, screws the words spoken to these strangers. They say, "Kill or be killed." His thoughts are interrupted by Mirai, who took the guy to close his clothes and says thank you. With eyes full of tears, she repeats, "Thank you for protecting me." While the children help each other, Toru makes promises to Mirai. "I will protect you." The next chapter begins with colored pages. Children with bloodied weapons march, happily saying that the real villains are adults. Waking up, Toru finds a flushed Sakuraka under her blanket. Ignoring the bad thoughts, he decides not to wake her up, but the director opens her eyes herself. During a joint breakfast, she clings to him unnecessarily. Today is a free day because no new people were brought. Toru realizes that today is the perfect day to escape and begins to think about this situation as Samurai catches his eye. She, like all the other children, is still in shock from what happened yesterday, so the hero notices that they are not all familiar yet and offers everyone to introduce themselves in turn. Acquaintance turns into a game of words. The children have fun calling their names. Ringa makes a drawing of yesterday's incident and shows the tone, from which he remembers how frivolous they are to such things and reminds himself that he should not get used to what is happening. Another of the boys reminds that they have photos together, although not all of their children are alive. Torma asks how often the number of children changes. He is told that quite often someone dies in situations like yesterday's. Someone for another reason, but new ones are brought here quite often. He understands in his mind that this place is cursed. Children remember that they have a camera. Everyone gathers to take a photo. Brothers Kakeru and Wataru say that he should look directly into the camera. It means to bring it directly to the face. As soon as Toru does this, he notices something on his face. The sight of his soiled face makes everyone else laugh. As a result, everyone has fun taking photos. When everyone left, Mirai stayed and started playing with the camera. Toru goes to the director to help wash the dishes. Then she asks him to call her by her first name, Sakuraka. She blushes, and it makes the guy blush too. Sneaking up from behind, Mira takes a picture of Toru. In the next chapter, we see Sakuraka making an asterisk out of a piece of paper, and then we are transported to the street, where Toru and other children are doing ordinary homework. One of the kids notices that the older one is very economic and now he just has to learn how to butcher people. Also, this kid claims that he is now his senpai, so Toru can turn to him for advice at any time. Life slowly began to become ordinary. No new adults were brought, so there was less cutting work, only those bodies that were already in the refrigerator. Despite this, the hero remembers that people are still being killed here, and therefore, he does not intend to stay. Even considering 3 million yen, he himself agreed without hesitation, because his mother insisted on working, but now he understands that the offer even then turned out to be too good. While he is thinking about escaping, Mirai comes running from behind. He sees bleeding punctures on the girl's hands. Then the brothers come in. They were going to teach the girl cutting, but she could not overcome herself. Then they used some needles on her as punishment. Toru immediately stood up for Mirai, saying that you can't force a child to do what you don't want. The brothers are not satisfied with this, and they leave in anger. Mirai tells Toru how she was taught. From the accumulated emotions, with the words "I can't do this anymore," the girl begins to cry. The elder tries to calm her down, and then says that he intends to escape from here. Then Mirai says, "Are you really going to leave me too?" And he promises that he will take her with him. Then Linka appears, saying that she was promised. They say she's only here for a few days. And 2 years have passed since this promise. Rinka reminds Mira and where they are, and reminds about the cases when 2 of her brothers were killed here. It happened on the very first day, and in front of her father, who was talking on the phone at that time. Mirai asks her father to take her away from this place, but he punches the child in the face and leaves. Despite this, even now Mira blames herself for the fact that her father abandoned her. Protecting her father, she grabs Rink by the hair, which causes the wig to fly off his head and shows short hair, and a scar, apparently left by her father. Rinka says that not only do the people living here have no parents, but there is no reason to run away from here. Thor asks, does Rinka really like it here? If he was outside, he could call someone for help, involve the police. The girl replies that Toru and Mera didn't kill anyone, but everyone else has long since stained their hands with blood. And the director says that the death penalty awaits for this. Toru refutes these words because the children are very young. He wants to save everyone, including the director, thinking that a certain Keiju is to blame for everything. The guy promises that Link will help escape. The child starts to get angry, but then agrees. Alinka promises that later she will share more information that can help in the escape. They fail to finish because other children are just appearing. Later, we're in the girl's room. Shira's blind friend asks Rink to read her books. In addition to this, she also asks Rinka to share her best friend if something bothers her. At the same time, Tormo offers peace and to go to sleep in his room if she is still scared. The girl refuses, saying that she will cope. Then the guy promises that if he ever meets this very paradise, he will tell her that his daughter is a real smart girl. Hugging the ferret and smiling, the girl disappeared into the doorway. Waking up the next morning, the first thing Toru sees is a ferret that has smeared itself in something. He notices that he is not alone under the blanket. Thinking it's Sakuraka crawling under the blanket again, he throws it off and sees Mirai's head. Other children immediately run into him, shouting that they can't find Rink anywhere. At this time, the director hangs an asterisk on the wall, on which it is written Mirai. Then she smiles. Toru goes into shock when he sees the head. All the kids start asking, why did he kill the girl? The guy denies his guilt. Sakuraka, who ran inside, is delighted that Toru was finally able to kill a man. After all, Mur didn't like it here anyway, so he supposedly did everything right. The director suggests celebrating this by having a barbecue. Gritting his teeth, Toru told her right to her face that she was the devil. Natsuki takes a step forward and says that he will not be able to sleep peacefully, knowing that this guy lives with them, and therefore offers to get rid of him. Sakuraka refuses, saying that he is special. Natsu explodes and asks to explain where such love comes from and what she will do if Toru kills his sister as well. He's not like that, and that's it, the director argued. She walks away from the dialogue to start preparing for the barbecue. Left alone with the head of the world, and Toru closed her eyes and began to cry. Seeing him, one of the brothers in a black t-shirt started to say I'm not doing anything, but his brother stopped him. Meanwhile, the girl's body was found in another room. The children are going to take her out and butcher her according to custom. Since the girl was afraid of being touched by others, Toru realizes that she cannot allow others to touch her. He takes the body in his arms. And then as Yaru, a boy in a black t-shirt, shouts to him, I didn't do anything. Mira was wrong. Thor was about to say something, but he didn't find the right words, so he silently retreated into the courtyard. The director has already prepared everything on the street. At first, Thorn asks to bury her in a human way, but is refused. The smell from the grave can attract bears and other wild animals. Then Tora asks to be cremated at least, but even here she does not receive support. There is no crematorium nearby, and in the temperature of the fire from the barrel, the bones will not burn. Plus the smoke will attract unwanted attention. Everything is fine, he turns to the Tora with a smile. You've already helped me by killing Mirai. Leave the rest to me. She brings the cleaver up, but Toru intercepts her hand. Then he tells the director, I will do it as carefully as I can. I won't let you do that. You don't deserve it. Toru started cutting. And in parallel, other children are preparing for a barbecue. The brothers went to the river. Wataru the blonde asks Kokoru, the dark-haired one, why he killed Mirai. Their backstory begins the twin brothers were the children of the owners of a fabric store. Their parents were strict, and all this time for little pranks, dark-haired flew. His brother was set as an example to him. For the purpose of discipline, the restless boy was often locked in a closet, pricked with needles, called a disgrace to the family, and beaten. And the boy thinks that this would not have happened if he were stronger than his father. In the present, we see that the brothers were eavesdropping and knew about the escape, and Kakeru answers the question asked earlier. Because Mirai promised that she would stay here. His brother Vadaru is shocked because it's one thing to kill those who are brought and another to kill his friend. For which weapons there seems to be no difference. The questions begin to infuriate the dark-haired man, and he begins to shout that he knows how to kill and butcher people. And now he is much stronger than his father. In addition, it infuriates him that the Avatar is always trying to protect him. Now the second one also loses his composure. Clutching the edge of his t-shirt, he shouts that as Yaru, he is the only one who wanted to leave the house. And then we see them both fall into the water. At this time, under the strict guidance of Sakuraka, Toru is doing what the other children were doing here. After taking the first step, he falls to the ground in the form of his hands stained with blood. Sakuraka encourages him, saying that Toru is a great fellow, he is doing very well, and she did not expect anything less from the person she loves. Blushing after the last words, the director asks the guy to continue. Meanwhile, cooking is in full swing. The children pay attention to the cocker, who came all wet from nowhere alone. A car pulls up to the entrance, and the driver appears in front of us. His name is Naiva or Jim, and I will call him Naiva. In general, the guy immediately shows that he knows the locals perfectly. He immediately starts playing with children, especially from the rain. The author shows us that all children treat the book well. Jim's Nevatory is also somehow connected with what is happening. He brought the children provisions for a month. At first, he expressed a desire to join the barbecue, but after seeing what it would be made of, he suggested that Ringa continue playing in another place. Before that, he turns to his colleague Yamasan, who is still in the car. The second deliveryman also comes out, appearing before us in the image of an insecure ordinary guy. Both deliverymen look around the corner and see Tora, who is covered in blood and continues butchering. Seeing his look, the guys get scared. Naiva is surprised that this is an adult guy and that he is a beginner. Yama replies that although he is 18 years old, but in fact, he is also still a child. They ask him why Toru killed the child. The guy doesn't react in any way. When they check the list and call his name, Toru comes to his senses and asks who they are. Sakuraka immediately appears with a question: why did the deliveryman come? The blonde-haired man beamed at the sight of the director, saying that they had brought provisions. Yama-san notices that the number of children has decreased and he can, if anything, bring more. Sakuraka asks for 3 more. Then she adds that another girl has disappeared and asks a rhetorical question: I wonder if she will sit down. Yama nevertheless replies that Rinka will sit down soon. Jim's Naivatori comes running with a plate and says that there is just an awesome barbecue here and offers Yama to try. But the friend refuses. Toram, who has regained consciousness, approaches the pit, grabs him by the clothes and asks, "Who the fuck are you?" Yama replies that he can ask the same question. It seems not a child, but lives here. He himself admits that they are from a village nearby and are doing this because they were threatened. Toru directly asks, was someone named Kyoju threatened? Then the field is wedged in. I remind you that according to the rules you can't fight. Yama says it's time for them to leave and says goodbye until next month. Thor stops them, asking them to help the children. The deliverers refuse, saying that it is better for him to surrender. Yama apologizes, but Thor grabs his things and scares him, offering to stay and talk. Then the hero lets out a tear, telling the deliveryman that he will not be able to live in peace if he does not help the children in any way. The delivery guys can't just leave. Yama blurts out in one breath that it happened 10 years ago. His younger sister almost died here herself. After pausing to portray a stupid expression on his face, he finds something to add. All the children here are cursed, and there is no way to save them. Laughing and remembering the image, which is very similar to Sakuraka, he says, these lands have long been doomed. Then the deliverymen leave. The barbecue continued. The director offers a dish to Thor, thanking him for his work. Instead, the hero asks to stop ignoring his questions. Sakurako agrees, since he did a good job today. At night she will tell him everything. But first, we need to solve something else. She calls to her as Yara. In parallel with his frightened look, we see his brother washed up on the shore. The boy is still alive. The creepy girl who woke up Tora on the first night reports on the radio that our brother, we're going back to Acker. He tries to escape from the director, who chases him with a hammer, saying that she warned him not to fight with others. Along the way, he tries to prove his case. He lies that his brother is fishing now, but confesses to killing Rink and Mirai. The excuse is that they wanted to escape. The boy tries to prove on the run that he did it all for the benefit of the family. Sekaranka says that she does not need children who violate her mother's rules. The director says that it will be easy to find a replacement for such a weakling, and she does not need someone who can kill his own brother. As he vividly recalls all the events related to the recent murders, he froze near the stairs. Blood flowed down his face. A thought popped into my head, since when can I kill friends so easily? After that, he started falling down the stairs. When he gets up, he realizes that he has to run. But on the playground, on the slide, he sees his brother dead in a sitting position. Other children pay attention that the avatar was touched by the curse of this place because he sat down as he asks for forgiveness from Mom, Dad, and his brother, who did not even try to help and only watched as he was carried away by the current. Natsui pulls the trigger. A shot rings out. The younger sister of the shooter begins to laugh hysterically, saying that she wants to take the eye for herself. Natsui from this fall into hysterics. The other kids ask if he's okay. Jumping on the wall, the kayaks walk away along the ceiling, saying, "How stupid, when in fact you already know everything." And Shish asks the shooter if he's alright. Another girl says that it's not worth touching him, because this is one of his regular seizures. The children are trying to decide who will butcher both Yara and Wataru. Called Toru. With a frantic expression on his face, he quickly begins to fill the children's buckets. The next day, the children at the river enthusiastically discuss how Thor copes with his work. Someone even says that when he grows up, he wants to be the same. Suddenly, Ringa realizes that they don't think that what they are doing can be called good things. The boy is against it, believing that they are doing a laudable thing. The third girl says that even though she has been silent all this time, doing such things is very bad. And in general, for such a thing in the wild, they are put in prison. The children are about to return, when suddenly someone pulls the ring back. The children turn around and see two large shadows. Naiva with the words, "I think the time is up and for this paradise," brings up the hammer. The author takes us to Sakuraka's room. That's where she and Toru are. The girl admits that this room belonged to her mother. All these stars are children who broke a promise or sat down. A sit-down is when children try to escape, and then they are found dead in a sitting position on the playground. Sakuraka is sure that this is how her mother punishes those who broke their promise and tried to leave the director. Sakuraka suddenly rushes over and hugs Toru, asking if he really wants to know everything, even if it would be better not to remember it. After all, she doesn't want Toru to remember someone like her. On the wall with stars, we see a photo of a woman very similar to Sakuraka, next to which there are 2 children. In the photo, Mom, Sakuraka, and Toru himself. The director walks away and says, "Brother, you know, I've been waiting for your return for 10 years, since the day you killed my mother." We move on to the backstory of both the garage and the Torah. The boy has already been to this place, and his father brought him there, talking with Sakuraka's mother. He admits that it is difficult for him to understand what the boy has in his head. He and his wife tried to bring up Torah in love and care, but the son turned out to be a mess. He's always trying to kill some animal. And his father brought him here and told his mother that it was better not to take it as a person because his wife was in the hospital. And she turned out to be after he set fire to her pillow at night. Even during this dialogue, the boy was busy killing an insect. Seeing this, the father is distracted from the dialogue and shouts at his son, arguing that it is bad to harm animal creatures. And if Toru does not know how to behave in a particular situation, then he should simply repeat after his father. Thanks for understanding. The father leaves the Torah to the guardianship of the orphanage. On the following pages, the inadequate kid kills the animal again, and little Sakuraka notices this. She asks why he does it, to which she gets an answer. "And I'm trying to figure out what happens when living things become empty." He recalls the words that the strong should protect the weak, which leads him to an earlier memory and an accompanying question. If his father is right, then why did his mother try to strangle him? According to Sakuraka, her mother did the same to her. Children understand that they are similar. Toru promises that he will teach the girl because he has already explored a lot of animals and wanted to explore his mother. He offers his new girlfriend to catch bigger prey. A month later, they made a simple trap, because of which Sakuraka's mother fell down the stairs when she fell wearing another child. Mom fell and buried her head. The consequences are fatal. Then Toru congratulates his girlfriend. Now they are accomplices after the incident. The children were distributed to different orphanages. Toru was taken by his father. And Sakuraka, who lost her mother, lost her shelter along with it. At first, she was handed over to her mother's relatives, but later the girl constantly wandered from one house to another. Then her last trustees simply took her to some forest. The girl is afraid of the dark, so she asks not to leave her here. Then the adults show their true faces, calling Sakurako the devil's spawn, accusing her of being to blame for everything, and punishing her not to approach the village anymore. Living day after day in the forest in hunger and loneliness, the girl, for the sake of survival, begins to eat insects. The realization comes to her that she should just return to her mother, and after the realization, a path emerges that leads her to an abandoned orphanage. There and only there she will wait for the return of her mother and brother Toru. This is the end of Sakuraka's story. She hugs him, saying that she was afraid that if he remembers what happened, he will leave her again. She asks that Thor never leave her alone again. We switch outside. Shira, a blind girl, and another child went in search of Rink. The object of their search immediately comes out to meet them, offering to escape together. Rinka is fine. She fell off a cliff while running away from Kokoru, but got off with only a minor leg injury. Chera begins to cry, saying that she was very worried about her friend. While discussing the murder of Kokoru, they see the car of the caterers from the hill. There they also see the bodies of familiar children, barely covered with a tarp. Then they see Yama, who is talking to Naiva. Deliverers take weapons. The children understand that these guys are going to massacre the orphanage. Naiva himself apologizes to Ringa, the girl he played with, for killing her, stating that he was just doing his job. Then he asks his accomplice if everything is really fine, because this place served as a good source of income. And he also wonders which place Yama mentioned earlier. And suddenly we get the backstory of the pit. Together with Neatness and Thor, the little kid was also in the orphanage. The flashback begins with the fact that the villagers came to the director and threw a stone at her head. They are unhappy that she has gathered some ragamuffins here, and they are all sick of them already. But most importantly, children steal their crops. Sakuraka's mom promises that they won't cause any more problems. In the following frames, we see her and the children saying the very prayer that Toru diffused the situation with at the beginning. And we also see a set of rules, which is issued as a promise to the teacher, and which he saw on the blackboard. She says that children who break promises will be punished. Then the voice is given by little Yama, who is trying to find out what is behind the words punished. He suggests thinking about an alternative, emphasizing that her own daughter is present here. Mom replies that everything will be fine as long as the children obey her. What exactly is meant by punishment is not disclosed, but given Yama's fears, it is likely that physical violence is hiding behind these words. Yama himself asks, the teacher behaves like this because the whole village hates her because of the orphanage, and the rest of the staff has fled. Seeing his face, the director irritably gets up from the table, realizing that he did all the dirty tricks, because of which the villagers disliked her. A little later, in search of his sister, Yama goes outside and finds her in tears, watching Kotoru and Sakuraka kill a rooster. He tells his younger sister not to approach these lunatics. A month later, Yama heard a strange rumble. When he comes to the noise, he sees the following picture. The director fell down the stairs. His younger sister, who was playing nearby, also suffered from a fall. Upstairs, Toru watches the death of an adult with obvious pleasure. The police arrived and concluded that it was an accident. They did not believe Yama's words because they knew that it was he who was messing up in the village, stealing the harvest. Moreover, they believe that the boy himself looks extremely suspicious and ask him to go to the department with them. Finally, the policeman asks what his full name is. The boy answers, Kyoju Yamada. He and his sister, however, found a roof over their heads. A year later, one of the village hunters asked Yamada to go check out the noise that is heard in an abandoned orphanage in the mountains. Taking a gun and coming to the place, smelling a monstrous stench, Kyoju finds a feral Sakuraka, who is going to eat the killed animal. Since Sakuraka is to blame for the fact that his sister was hit when his mother fell, Kyoju comes up with his revenge plan. We're going back to the present. Rinka starts screaming at Ringa to run, and only then realizes that the girl is dead. Then Rinka says that we need to run to the village and ask for help from the locals. We are transported to Toru from Sakuraka. The girl again asks not to leave her anymore. Smiling, the main character promises that he will not leave her. He also admits to himself that they were already abnormal back then. He remembered that all this time he was not himself, but only copied his father. The delivery car pulls up to the main entrance to the house. Ashish comes out to meet him. Naiva asks if the children have finished with the corpses in the refrigerator. Having received an affirmative answer, he says then let's finish it, and Shish shouts, "Sister, run." He himself will not be able to escape. Didn't pull the trigger. There are 6 more children left. Sakuraka reacts to the sound. She looks out the window and sees Ashish's body, as well as a car with children. Naiva sees the director, joyfully declaring that he has found her. Sakuraka picks up the knife, repeating that the adult from the village is disgusting. She tells Thor to run, but the guy asks her to join him. At least in some ways, he agrees with his father. Even now, they are obliged to help the weak. Yamada asks not to kill the director, shoot only at the kid. Naiva goes to the stairs, but then the whole Shish grabs his leg. Before he has time to react, a bullet flying by grazes his shoulder. This is Yusui. Kyoju tells his friend that there are not enough children here. He can handle it here himself, and Naiva has to go find the missing one. In addition to this, Kazuya's sister is also looking for children, so Naiva needs to take a walkie-talkie with her. Having finished a shisha, Naiva accepts the order. The sight of a friend's death has a strong effect on Natsui, and he runs away in search of the director. A figment of the imagination, the sister tells her brother that Sakuraka most likely ran away to the side. Just like mommy and daddy left us in the car. She says goodbye to her brother dry. From behind, Yama put the muzzle of the gun to the guy's head. Kyoji asks why Nasu has been trying so hard along with everyone else all this time, when he knew what was going on here. And that Kyoju and Naiva were helping the Yakuza get rid of the bodies in this place. If you know a lot, Yamada asks, then why haven't you realized that your sister has been dead for a long time? Natsu remembers. His parents abandoned them along with the car, and his sister died of sunstroke. My sister is no longer in front of my eyes. There is only her scarf, in which the guy was always dragging behind him. Using this very scarf, and also the fact that Kells was standing behind, Natsui shoved the muzzle of the gun into his mouth. Meanwhile, Tora was taking Sakuraka through the forest as far as possible. She asks where they are going, because the director does not want to go far from his mother's grave. Plus, if they leave, they will break their promise. Then she notices that the orphanage is on fire. Toru takes her by the hand and leads her away. Sakuraka is at a loss. She had never strayed so far from the place she considered her home. She thinks who should believe her mom or the person she loves and who killed her mom. Sakuraka stops and admits that he is afraid to go further. She knows that she has done a lot of terrible things and does not know how she can get along with it in a civilized world. She realizes the enormity of what has been going on all this time. Toru replies that everything is fine. He suggests finding an appropriate institution, atoning for their sins, and starting a new life together. Sakuraka begins to cry, saying whether she deserves redemption at all. Then Toru takes her by the hands and starts circling. For a moment, she is given to dreams that they can really live together normally. But then Toru lets go of his hands. Sakuraka begins to fall off the cliff. The last thing she sees is Toru's face, distorted by that abnormal facial expression of the researcher's killer. She knows those eyes well. The eyes of an abnormal looking at his victim and anticipating a deadly sight. With thoughts that she deserves it, Sakuraka accepts her fate. Meanwhile, someone on the radio, unknown girl, reports that Thor killed Sakuraka. She goes out to him and asks him to follow her to finish it all. And we are transported to another part of the mountain, where Naiva somehow tracked down the remaining children. He's getting rid of another child. Only Rinka and her blind friend remained. The girl in the wig accuses Naiva that he has lost his mind. In response, he tells them the same thing, because they can chop people up so easily. The girls try to escape, but a blind friend gets injured in the leg. Promising her friend to save her, Rinka jumps off the cliff with her. The last chapter begins with the author drawing a parallel between Toru and Kyojo. They say they are similar. One boy refuses his sick half, and the other promises to earn money. The action of both comes from the fact that parents pay attention to them. Then we see Rink and her friend, who manage to escape. Shiro is injured, so she won't be able to escape anymore. There they recall curses when runaway children were found in a sitting position on the playground. There, a blind friend convinces Rink that this is a fairy tale, which they were scared of so that they would not run away. After all, they are now quite far from home, and they are still alive. She also says that Rinka needs to run. The field is already nearby. He comes into the room, talking on the phone with some hunters from the village. While he is simultaneously looking for children, Rinka wants to play ahead of a curve, rushes forward and borrows a knife from him, but it does not work to kill the enemy. Naiva points a gun at her, but does not have time to do anything. With a sharp movement, the axe blows off his head. Toru appears. Rinka rejoices at the appearance of her brother, but not for long. He quickly begins to aim at the child. Toru starts muttering something to himself that he doesn't want to become like that again, because dad behaved differently. Remembering the father's behavior model, Toru unsuccessfully tries to pull on a friendly, adequate mask, which repels the child even more. In general, his whole behavior seems strange to Rink. She realizes that she can't trust him anymore. A girl named Sachi appears behind her. She's Kyoju's sister. She asks them for someone to stop her brother. Easy to mention. In the car, Yama knocks down the Tora. The guy asks if it's true that Toru killed Sakuraka. He says that it seems that he will have to look for a new source of income, and adds that learning about Sakuraka's death is an unforgettable feeling. Rinka tells Kyuji not to approach her friend, she won't let him in. The guy says that he will not kill blindly, but simply make her the next director, believing that she is perfect for this role. Right there he tells how Sakuraka became the director. In general, in order to break the director's psyche, Kyuji sold her to the perverts of the village. After hearing about what can happen to a friend, Rinka rushes at the opponent. Without too much effort, the pit overturns her to the ground. He accompanies these actions with the words that he is already looking forward to when he will create a new orphanage. Earlier, he was curious about what would happen if he invited Tora, and didn't even know that the guy would ruin everything. But nevertheless, he believes that all this is the perfect revenge for those who treated Sachi so terribly. Just in case, I remind you that there was nothing wrong with Sacha. She just got hit by accident, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Actually, she is about to confirm that she has never chewed any revenge, but Kyuji covers her mouth with his hand. Yama continues to say that they have earned a lot of money, and now their real parents will be happy to take them back. Now all he has to do is rebuild the orphanage from scratch and pay for Shira to be made submissive. Grinning, Rinka tells Kyuji to his face that people like him will never grow up. I was a child, and I remained, a child, and I will remain. Yama is about to finish her off, but then a frightening thought arises. He attacks Kyoju, causing both of them to fall to the ground. The main character easily takes the gun and begins to strangle the enemy with it. At first, Yama says that he is really nasty and pisses him off, then sticks a knife into the guy. Realizing that he does not take anything at all, and realizing the situation in which he found himself, Kiji declares that they are similar, and offers to unite. He fails to finish the sentence, as Link takes the axe, first disconnecting his right hand from Yama's body, and then, when he finally deflated and began to beg for mercy, finishing off with a blow to the head, Rinka falls to her knees, seeing what Toru has become. Sacha offers to leave, saying that Toru tried to kill her, and now he will only act like that. She herself approaches Yamada Kyoji, and thanks him for finally giving her freedom. Toru begins to ask for help. He falls into delirium, apologizing to his mother that there is emptiness inside him. Rinka asks if Toru killed Sakurada. Then she asks if he killed Mirai. Seeing Mirai in front of him, Toru answers for her. No, my brother didn't do it. Rinka holds out her hands and says, come to me. I'll come to terms with everything. Toru reaches out and hugs Rink. He's calling Mom and Dad. Rinka tells him, sleep well. Then we are told behind the scenes that Rinka and Shira managed to leave Guru with the help of Sacha. There, an elderly couple took them into custody. With the help of their testimony, the police found all the dead, including Tora. Thanks to the investigation, it was also possible to calculate the identity of the head of the Yakuza who was behind all this. Sakuraka's body was never found. 8 years later, we see a meeting between Rink and Shira. Despite her blindness, the second one immediately recognizes her friend. Rinka became a designer, while Shira became her model. Walking around a major city, they chat about ordinary things. Suddenly, someone walks past Rink and speaks in her ear. A vile killer. The girl stops, asks again, has something happened? No, Rinka answers, it's all right. In short, children are a great treasure to just relax in the evening while watching Fierce Tin. As I said initially, this story can only be liked if you just turn off your brain and continue reading. If, at this moment, you start to perceive manga as something more and, in addition, start thinking, then there is a risk of spoiling all your impressions. The main problem with manga is that it creates a strong feeling as if the author came up with the plot along the way, initially having no idea what it will result in, or having, but reshaping on the go, because the manga had to be finished ahead of schedule. Some things don't fit together. They can be logically justified for themselves by the reader himself, but they look too messy in a detached way. The characters seem to also at some point do not correspond to their characters. Let's start with the characters. I decided not to mention most of the names of the characters so that in the end, you would not get confused because of their abundance and similarity of the type of the same rink and ring. And it's not really necessary because there is nothing else behind the names. Most of the characters are not revealed. You can indulge and say, but the cameras, these are children. How can you reveal those who haven't really lived yet? I'm going to object to that. Apart from the story itself, you would be right, but these are not quite ordinary children. Each of those present in the orphanage is traumatized by one or another act of an adult or broken by this very place. Children do terrible things because they were taught that this is normal, but judging by the backstories that we were shown, children were not like that from the very beginning. They came to this place for a variety of reasons, but they are similar in one thing. Initially, they were in completely different circumstances. Perhaps in not very loving families, but hardly in those where there was a bloodbath. We know from history that someone did not live to see the beginning of the plot because he refused to follow the others. And others accepted what was happening and joined. And now I didn't have enough demonstration of this very turning point. Who took how long to get used to the local rules? Who did not accept them? Who accepted them but was disgusted with what they were doing? That is, there is no contrast, and because of this, all children seem to be bloodthirsty monsters a priori. The only ray of light is Mirai. However, her character is just a cute and good kid. The author didn't even show how she tried to act like the others, but couldn't. Plus, it also makes you wonder if everything is so bad here and children are getting rid of for insubordination. Then why is she still alive to die? The answer is simple, because she was needed not by the general outline of the story, but by the author. The girl acts here not as a character, but as two things. The first is an increase in the sense of shock after her murder, because the author cannot always keep the degree at the same level. Second, she became a catalyst for the tour to begin to integrate more deeply into the environment. Therefore, we understand that the whole story, and the suspense present, is based solely on the element of shock. From what the innocent flowers of life are capable of, how they position their actions. And also it is kept at a high level of graphicity. As for the Torah, without taking into account the too drastic change in the character within the framework of this story and its length, the author managed to more or less clearly reveal it. Although, of course, Sakuraka is more believable. The girl was strange, like Tuaru, from the very beginning. The poor thing succumbed to the influence of a schizo, and because of what her whole life went downhill. That's the most questions that Keiju Yamada is the most unconvincing character, who seemed to have first been given one role as a pit deliveryman from the village, and then given another the role of the frightening Kedzo. Who brewed all this mess? Why is this impression created? Well, look, although his age is not directly mentioned, but when he was with the rest of the children in the orphanage, he was approximately 8 to 10 years old. As soon as he finds Sakuraka, who has returned to the abandoned house, he has a plan of revenge brewing. And now an 8-10-year-old boy comes to a criminal organization, tells his plan. The Yakuza says sold, and lets him organize everything. Yes, so much so that the child has authority. Exactly. Here we come to the second inconsistency, when they brought a man in a suit with a battle scar on his forehead. Judging by his reaction, he understands what is going on and then asks, is Kyoju in the mud? That is, he is at least knowledgeable enough to know about Kyoju, and believes that he has a certain level of authority. Since he can have sixes, therefore, it seems here that in fact someone else should have stood behind such a formidable name, who is, for example, at the top of the Yakuza, and not an 18-20-year-old kid with an insecure appearance. We can only assume, but I am inclined to believe that the author was going to lead another antagonist, Kyojo, at first, but also decided to make a pit for them because of the imminent end. Regarding morality, she's here. Yes, crumpled, maybe a little hypertrophied, hidden under layers of tin and flaws, but nevertheless. This is a story about how fragile and influenced a child's consciousness is. In many ways, a person's personality is formed due to the experience experienced in childhood, and each person, for the most part, acts as a reflection of the behavior model that he observed from an early age. In theory, it's really easy to make children like this if you put them in front of the fact of survival. Plus, constantly process phrases like this is normal, this is how it should be, this is how it should be, and everything like that. That is, while a person's personal values are at the stage of formation, they can be played with. That is why it is very common to see a picture when a person grew up in a family where the father beats the mother, and then does the same in his relationship. Yes, this does not apply to all people, but still there are such precedents. The last thing I want to note, and at the same time as an unconditional plus, is the author's drawing. I think he's just great, especially as the author conveys the madness of what is happening, and in particular, how this madness is reflected on the face of the main character. When the mask of the benevolent Toru, who copies the father, is covered with cracks, my separate respect. If you suddenly did not pay attention, the more the Toru plunges into the abyss of the ongoing chaos, the more it becomes covered with cracks, and at the same time it changes. Just look at how he looked at the beginning of the story, and how his appearance changed after. There are still some points that I have omitted, because they are not very important in principle, and do not affect the main plot. And that's it for today. Write in the comments how you like this manga, it will be very interesting to find out. And also subscribe if you want more of this content. I love everyone, and bye to everyone.